Today's episode is to break any misconception that there is about meditation. Like, it's useless. Meditation is a loss of time. You don't need it. You're supposed to think about nothing anyways. That's impossible. I don't want to do it because it's boring, I don't know how to start, or it's too hard. Or even it's for old people and monks anyways. You're about to fact the bazillion scientific facts that show how meditation slows down brain aging, physical aging, and improves everything in your life from sleep to immune system, literally changes your brain structure, and lengthens your DNA. The list goes on and on. I have felt in such a peaceful, present, joyful state several times after practicing for usually over 30 minutes. And I could only imagine how amazing and complete life must be when living constantly in such a way. You only need to try it once to realize that it is the tool to solve most of your problems and dates back to thousands of years before Christ. You can trust it, okay? It's not some new technique around the corner. It's Nova, and you're listening to the Supernova Shift podcast. Today, you'll finally understand meditation and change the negative, distorted way that you've been perceiving it, and use it to your advantage to completely shift your life's direction. I started meditation when I was under 8 years old, and I did it because I was forced to by my dad. I stopped for several years, and now I do it consistently because I'm educated enough to know how it will positively impact and change my life. This episode is structured with the basic meditation knowledge you need, some definitions and history to keep you going, the endless benefits on your health, beauty, longevity, metabolic health, mental health, etc. based on scientific studies, and a practical guide on how you can start today so your life takes a whole new turn. And then lastly, we'll bust some myths on meditation so that they are never said again. You want to sleep better, right? Perform better, be a better friend or partner, learn faster, be emotionally intelligent, master skills faster and better, solve problems better, heal from trauma or even physical injuries. You want to delay cognitive decline, maybe if you're older, or if you're younger, you want to glow up physically. Well, it turns out all you had to do was meditate. And tell me now that meditation is a loss of time. No. If you are deeply unconscious, meditation could be really hard when you try it at first because you will find it difficult to stop thinking. The majority of people on this planet, or like the majority of people on this planet, your mind is extremely loud and constantly chattering. It's the same with my mind, it's the same with everybody's mind. And some people are so unconscious that they don't even realize that their mind is so loud. In no way am I a meditation guru. None of us are, because it's a continuous pursuit of reaching higher levels of peace and ultimately enlightenment, whatever that may be, which very little people have achieved throughout history. Famous ones include Buddha, Jesus, Marcus Aurelius, Lao Tzu, Eckhart Tolle, even though I don't know to what level he has reached enlightenment. But it is impossible to really describe enlightenment because it isn't something that can be expressed in words. But you can say that it is a sort of profound state of consciousness, often seen as the ultimate accomplishment in some religious and philosophical traditions, symbolizing inner peace and insight, even though you don't have to be religious to practice meditation. Eckhart Tolle described it as a feeling that you are not separate with other things in the universe, but are part of the whole. And you can read The Power of Now if you want more information on this. Reading this book has really transformed my way of thinking, mainly because I'm young For example, I know my dad read the book and it didn't affect him as much because he already knows a bunch of things that I don't, and maybe I was more impressionable. But the definition of meditation, to give it a definition, is very difficult because it's so old. We don't even know when its earliest roots date. It dates back from Buddha 500 years before Christ, reassembled the puzzle, found the missing pieces, and recollected all the techniques that got lost during thousands of years. It took him, I think, 15 to 20 years, somewhat like Jesus did in his quest to spirituality. But at some point, it was said that 80,000 different meditation types existed in the world. I don't know if that's true. I think it was a legend or something. But a definition of meditation could look like a profound and extended contemplation or reflection in order to achieve focused attention or to come back to your primal state of consciousness and to gain insight into yourself and the world. In a lot of techniques that I have done, ultimately, it's about being fully present and immersed in right now and feeling your body. Any thought that arises, you catch it and you come back to being in your body, breathing and feeling your heartbeat, etc. It's impossible to never have thoughts. The fact that you have recurrent thoughts when you're trying to focus on your body and how you're feeling, it's a reminder to come back to your body. It's the whole point of meditation. But today humans have lost the ability to live and be present. That's what I said in, regain your primal state. Because before, like way before, thousands of years ago, humans were not that stressed. They didn't have all the problems that we have in the modern world. Well, it depends what you call the modern world, of course, because thousands of years ago, they had already lost that capacity to live and be present. But we think ourselves so intelligent for the academic things we can do. I mean, academic, like, math and stuff like that. But the truth is, we have been inflicted with this disease. We cannot stop thinking. Observe your mind and you will know it to be true. In the morning, you wake up and you think about the problems you're going to face that day. While you eat, wash yourself, get ready in the morning, you're riddled with thoughts. You're constantly thinking. The second you rest and stop working, talking, or watching something, which is rarely, like before you go to sleep, you're unable to sleep because you're unable to stop thinking. You might even think or believe that it is impossible to stop thinking. And in this unconsciousness, we lose ourselves, like Eckhart Tolle said in his book, The Power of Now. Our relationships degrade because we are unconscious, sleepwalking while awake, if you will. And we're just riddled with problems from past and future. And we don't live anymore in the present. We just exist. And then we call ourselves unhappy. It doesn't make sense. Like Buddha said, there's no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. Or, well, you can interpret that, I'm guessing, to different levels. But he also said, be where you are. Otherwise, you will miss your life. You should be present, because if you're constantly thinking about past and future, you're not actually living. He's said, you can find on the internet a lot of deep quotes that I invite you to reflect on. I don't know if he did say that or if he didn't. Like, it was so long ago, I think it's easy to transform what he said. But now we're going to move on to the next chapter, which is a little bit of history. Meditation practices trace back millennia across Buddhist, Vipassana, and Zen traditions. Vipassana is a type of meditation that was discovered by Buddha over 2,500 years ago in India. And he taught it as the path to liberation through self-observation, clarity, and wisdom. I personally have never practiced this. I know my dad has. I should interview him on this. But SN, Goenka, puts it that Vipassana is India's most ancient technique. And it was rediscovered by the Buddha. Like I said, meditation existed way before the Buddha in ancient Indian civilizations, aiming for the eradication of mental impurities, like constant thoughts about past and future. Goenka is an Indian Vipassana meditation teacher who imported ancient techniques to the modern world in the 20th century. and established retreat centers worldwide without any funds, but only based on voluntary work. I say this because a lot of people in the West now will make you pay thousands of dollars so that you can do a 1-week retreat and learn the secrets of meditation and become this master. And it would, kind of like low-key Star Wars vibes, but it's usually a scam when it comes to qualified people being there. And the fact that it's free, like meditation retreats that are free, it is a hint on the quality of the teachings. For example, in Taiwan, people do retreats there, like 10-day retreats, 2-week retreats in temples, not with monks. It's just I don't even know why I'm saying temples, but just specific places where you do the retreats. And it's always free and extremely high quality when it comes to the teachings. Now, the benefits of meditation. I don't even think we will ever know the full spectrum of benefits of meditation on your body and your mind, because science can study and prove many benefits, but science cannot measure everything. So I think many benefits may never be proven and just kept hidden in the mystery that is this world. But I digress. Science does have a lot of evidence on this. If you go on Google Scholar, you have hundreds of studies that you can read. I read some of them, and long story short, meditation improved cardiovascular and metabolic health by reducing blood pressure and cholesterol levels, reduced anxiety, stress, depression, probably the most proved one. It controls cortisol, it improves sleep, mood, emotional regulation for people who are emotionally unstable. An enhanced cognitive function and brain structure, because meditation actually increases the gray matter density in regions like the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex, which aids in memory and attention, and neuroplasticity, which is basically your brain's ability to make new neuronal connections for learning, attention span, memory, and emotional regulation. It improved the quality of life of chronic pain sufferers by reducing the psychological part of pain. It also improved immune system. It had anti-inflammatory effects. People with inflammatory skin problems saw their flare-up reduce. It had proven benefits on longevity and anti-aging, because long-term meditators show healthier gene expression connected to inflammation and aging. They age better and they maintain cognitive function longer. Some studies actually showed that it can lengthen your telomeres, which is a region of repetitive DNA sequences at the end of a chromosome. When I said that meditation lengthens your DNA, it was a bit of a shortened version. But if you look at Zen masters in Asia, I've lived there, of course, so not everyone, you probably don't have a Zen master living next door, but you'll notice that they usually live very long if they haven't had any accidents, like if they've aged naturally, if you could say. And long-term practitioners it may have been shown that it slowed their brain aging and even their physical aging by minimizing telomere degradation. Yes, that's the word. Because their genes would just age, or they wouldn't be as degraded. And so because of that, it physically showed that they were aging slower. I personally find that insane. But neuroscientists have also found in a study where they split stressed out employees of a high-tech firm in Madison, Wisconsin into two groups, a control group and the group that would meditate. And they found that brain waves in the stress-prone right frontal cortex moved to the calmer left frontal cortex. There was less activity in the amygdala, which is where the brain processes fear, and the meditation group was calmer and happier than before overall, with decreased stress, depression, and anxiety. The study was by Colin Allen, published on April 1st of 2003, published on Psychosomatic Medicine and Psychology Today. You can probably find traces of that study on the internet like I did. But John Kabat-Zinn. Now, I talk of him because I've talked about his guided meditations so many times. I recommended his meditation many times on my podcast. And he has a PhD, he's a professor of medicine, but most importantly, he has an organization called MBSR, Mindfulness-Based Stress Relief, to help people deal with physical pain and illness with meditation. So the study that I talked about before was actually made, or John Kabat-Zinn had a role to play in there. I don't know if he personally made the study, but he was in there, and he formalized MBSR in 1979 at UMass, later leading to mainstream adoption across hospitals and schools and corporations globally. So he kind of brought meditation to the mainstream, and he made it like all non-religious so that everybody could do it. And the following scientific findings are only on the John Kabat-Zinn mindfulness meditations, which it's crazy because there's way more evidence. This is only based on the MBSR findings. So of course, the most obvious one, mental and emotional health. It worked with anxiety and depression because a randomized trial showed that during 8 weeks, people would meditate and then they look at the results. And MBSR is as effective as a prescription medication of escitalopram, which is basically an antidepressant for anxiety. But basically, meditation had far fewer side effects because there aren't any side effects of meditation. So it's either you meditate and have zero side effects on your health, or you take this medicine, antidepressant, and it works, it doesn't work as well, and you have a lot of health, side effects. But the thing is, it's obviously easier to take the antidepressant than actually work on yourself and meditate, but that's a whole other subject. MBSR lowers perceived stress and stress hormones like ACTH significantly versus, usual stress education. Stress reduction, again, it's like the major one. Mood and mental resilience as well. It reduces depressive rumination, improves coping and emotional clarity. For example, right now, we're moving to a whole different continent, a whole different country. My entire life is about to change. So meditation is crucial right now, that I continue to meditate every night or minimum 4 times a week, so that I still stay sane during this change, and that I don't, again, ruminate, think over and over again about all the problems and all the things that might happen to me and all the worst case scenarios. It is really helpful if you're personally going through something in your life that is really stressing you out, or just in general, if you have a lot of problems or are really prone to stress. It also showed, improvement for cognitive and brain function because it enhances memory, attention, brain structure, especially increased gray matter in areas related to interoception and attention control. But just 10 minutes of basic meditation improves accuracy and response time in attention tasks, like on the Stroop test. The Stroop test is basically a psychological assessment that was created by John Ridley Stroop in 1935, and it was designed to evaluate cognitive processes, particularly selective attention, and it measures the ability to process conflicting information. Then we have amazing physical health. MBSR helps manage chronic pain, high blood pressure, insomnia, and even conditions like cancer or IBS, which is the irritable bowel syndrome. Don't ask me why I know that. By reducing inflammation and supporting recovery mechanisms. One study in overweight women showed that MBSR lowered fasting blood sugar better than general health education, which is insane. And it also showed that MBSR delivered sustained benefits like lowered stress, increased awareness, deeper emotional resilience, even 1 to 3 years after the program ends. But the MBSR program for 8 weeks, they'll meditate for half the day. So it is very intense, but it's important to remember that you must meditate at least several times a week to see improvement, ideally every day. Not everybody has time to meditate like 3 times a day, but you can't just meditate twice and then not do it for 3 years and still see improvement. Like, that's not possible. So what is possible? How do you practice easily? I really recommend that you start with guided meditations from trustworthy sources. Please don't just pick a random video on YouTube, because not everyone is qualified on the subject on YouTube. It's kind of like if you want an online therapist, you can't just go on YouTube and watch a video and let it be your online therapist, or psychological help, because they're not qualified to do it. It's the same with meditation. There are specific ways to meditate so that it is efficient. I know that I recommended meditation to a friend, and so she just looked up on YouTube and picked like a random video and said, oh yeah, yesterday I did this meditation and I was supposed to imagine myself in a forest or something, and like fairies were healing me as they were touching me. I'm like, no, that is not meditation. I don't know what you listen to, but it is not meditation. So there's different types. When it comes to the John Kabat-Zinn meditations, there's the love meditation, the body scan, which is the most powerful in my opinion. There's the breathing meditation. There's something called, I do it in French because it's translated, but it's also in English. But I don't know exactly what it's called in English, but in French it's kind of like the no focus meditation, where you are just here, you're just now, nothing else. You forget about meditation or, the thought of meditation. And apparently that type of meditation in some ancient cultures was also called the no meditation. But there's also the mindfulness meditation, the mountain and the lake meditations, where you, for once, actively visualize something and it calms you down. And I don't know how to explain it. It's like 20 minutes each. The body scan, I think, is 45 minutes. The no focus meditation is about 30 minutes. There's also a sound meditation, which is about like 27 minutes, and you have to pay attention to the sounds around you and so kind of immerse yourself in the sounds around you. And also another really helpful tool is to read The Power of Now if you can. And he gives tips on how to meditate, and I feel like it's really nice if you've never meditated before, and you can kind of try the techniques that he talks about on your own. But again, if you've never meditated before, maybe doing it on your own will be a little hard. But he mainly talks about being the observer instead of being in your emotions. You observe them as they arise. You observe your reaction in response to triggers. And being completely present and focusing on right now instead of the future in the past, it's a good place to start. Now, how do you practice when you're a beginner mindfulness-based stress reduction? You can go on their website that I'll link in the description, if I remember, hopefully, because I always talk about how I'll link everything in the description, and then I actually realized that I haven't. I'll try and remember this time. The first one is body scan, which is my favorite, the most powerful one in my opinion. Before you even try the guided meditations, you could try, or maybe if you don't have access to the guided meditations at work or school or wherever you are, you could lie down and gently scan awareness through each body part. You start from the toes, and then the feet, and then the top of the foot, and underneath the foot, and then like all the parts of your body. It's low-key an anatomy class listening to that guided meditation, because it talks about every single muscle and like part of my body. And noticing sensations and letting go of tension. You're supposed to like breathe in to the part that you're trying to relax. Let's say it's your foot, and you're breathing into the foot, and then when you exhale, the tension goes out of your body. Like, it's very peculiar. And I know that once I finished the 45-minute body scan meditation, and I just felt complete, kind of like in a trance where nothing could happen to me. I was happy, I was joyful, I was completely present. It was like this trance of just pure happiness and presence and joyfulness. And I really want more people to experience that, because it's the first step, really. Like, I haven't done anything amazing. It's not even, I haven't even gone that far. But anyways, I digress again. Then there's the breath awareness, where it's the easiest one in my opinion. If you're just anywhere, you could sit comfortably and just observe your breath, the inhale, the pause, the exhale, the way your stomach moves up and down without trying to change it. That's really important. You just have to let it be. I know I did this, for example, when I was on the way to my first ever competition, jazz, or like competitive jazz, and I was with a really good team that had done that their entire lives. It was giving dance mom vibes, and I was really stressed, and meditating in the bus like really helped me, and I didn't even need like equipment. There's also mindful movement, another one of my favorites. Walking meditation. There's also, forgot to mention, a 10-minute walking meditation that you can do from Kabat-Zinn. And it's really to cultivate bodily awareness and presence. It's one of my favorite things to do right now, especially in summer, because the weather is so good every day. And I go outside and I walk and I try to be completely present and look at all the colors and the sounds and the animals that I see and the life and like my body moving, my muscles working when I'm walking, and like all the things I'm experiencing by just walking. It's insanely amazing. Highly recommend. And then there's also just cultivating a proper attitude, because ultimately meditation is so that you can start living every day in a sense of presence. It's not just 20 minutes a day. It's so that you can do your tasks every day with increased presence, so that you're even more efficient and better at all the things that you do. So just try and cultivate this mindset where you're non-judging and patient. I have to work on that, know that. Trust, acceptance of yourself, of others, of the world. Letting go, and most of all, being grateful for everything that you have, which is something that has been huge and trendy recently. But if you're a beginner, I recommend you start small, because if you've never meditated before, you might not be able to just meditate for like 45 minutes. Ideally, every morning or evening, depends on what works best according to your schedule. And over time, just build up to 20 to 40 minutes once a day for deeper effects. And honestly, I know that a lot of people don't want to do it because they feel like it's a loss of time, or it's just not a habit of theirs, and they just don't want to start. But trust me, you have to try it once. And then when you see, maybe once or twice, and once you see the amazing results it has on you by just doing it once, and after hearing all the amazing health and beauty and like all the benefits that there are on your body and your mental health and everything, the impact that it's going to have on your life is insane, and it's so worth it, and it doesn't cost anything. Now, to end this episode, we're going to talk about some myths about meditation, or you could say Western misinterpretations that we're going to debunk. One of them is you're supposed to think about nothing. I already talked about that. You cannot. Some people say like, oh, you can't think about nothing. Like, that's impossible. The point of meditation is not just to sit there and say, okay, I'm just going to think about nothing. That is not a meditation technique. You're supposed to concentrate on your body and what you're feeling and watch, basically be the observer, instead of like being your emotions. And then when an emotion or a thought arises, which is to say like every 5 seconds, you can be like, oh, hold it, I'm in my thought right now. Let me just come back to my body. Another myth is that it's only about relaxation. It's really about being how you are right now and just feeling how your body is right now. And if your body is tense, you're just feeling your body be tense. You're observing your body, and then relaxation comes as a result. You train your mind so that you can recover the primal way of being that the modern man lost. You intentionally observe emotions, thoughts, or sensations rather than escape them. It's really difficult, and it requires work. If someone says, oh, not religious, not for me. Well, the mindfulness-based stress reduction, like I said, is entirely secular, meaning non-religious. It does not involve any spiritual rituals, just presence and awareness for people that are, have maybe prejudice around that or don't want to be involved in anything religious. It is non-religious. You do not have to be religious to meditate. Some people say that they have no time, which is a weird excuse. Like, look at the 1 hour that you were scrolling on Instagram. There is always time to meditate. There is always time. Just 5 minutes a day offers measurable benefits, and even brief practices support focus and stress resilience. You can even start by being present during your day without meditating, because it is ultimately the whole point, is to build a present life. Some people say that it's too difficult. Everyone experiences distractions. The practice is to gently notice when the mind wanders and to return it to your body, your breath, your awareness of sounds and surroundings. You have to be self-compassionate when you do this, because it is hard. And even, you can't meditate with a mindset of like, I have to accomplish this. I have to be able to not think or like be completely present in my body for 45 minutes. You're supposed to be compassionate and observe. I really, really hope that you try it at least once in your life, and then hopefully start meditation after listening to this episode. I hope it's opened your eyes. I'm really happy that you've listened till the end, because we are heading towards the end. Again, this is Nova, and you've been listening to the Supernova Shift podcast. Thank you very much for listening. You can check out my Instagram on the Supernova Shift podcast, or DM me or tag me. I post some motivational quotes, some recipe inspiration, some healthy breakfast ideas, so that you have lots of new inspiration to make healthy meals that taste good and support you on your growth journey. Don't forget to comment what your thoughts were, if you're going to start meditation, what you thought the craziest scientific fact was about meditation, if you've tried it on your own, what results you've seen, if you've asked a friend to do it, whatever, comment. I'll be very happy to hear your opinion. I'll see you next Monday, same time, same energy, for an episode about tea, a hot girl's medicine and elixir. Spread the love by sending this episode to a friend or a family member who might enjoy this or who might need this, and I'll see you next week.